Hey people, this is what this passion fruit flower looks like. And I pulled it out to get you a better picture of it. And when I did, this big old carpenter bee had landed on it. And he went to running around and collecting all the pollen around it. But it's a really pretty flower, and this just grows wild. It might have got caught on the state mowers where they were mowing the highway and brought the seed over here, and it just grows wild. It looks like it takes over, but it's no problem because it dies every winter and comes back. I harvested some off my squash plant yesterday, and I'll get some more off of it today, and I'll show you what I do with these later. So in that last movie I was talking about this word white. I had found it here in Ezekiel 13:9, and that's when I went to look in the first place it comes up. It usually helps to get a better translation, but it's a W-E-I-T-E or a W-H-I-T-E, white. Plainly says white. And they'll put it in the same category as yea, and let there be, and will be. But where I was reading it, the line before was talking about the black, and therefore thus says the Lord God, because you have spoken nonsense and envisioned the lies therefore. And the lies therefore is cause blacken, cause blacken. And then it was the next line in 9 that started with the whited will mooey in ben biome. And you can see here why they'll do this. The I and the A, the I before the A reads as a U. And so this is muy, Spanish for much, muy in, much in. And then the N before the E is a B, and B-E, and then N, and much in ben. And then the other way, it's still a UI, a A-I-A is a UI in either direction you're reading it from. And that's why they do it. And so it's a muy, a much in, and then the N-E-N is ben, and by, B-U-I, biome, and much in and ben biome, and that's what profits means, a lot of money. And you can see that better in the Greek. It plainly says that. White hand will muy in ben biome. Each is a mest, M-S, and the V-A, read as the T-E, and the mest in EU, min mest who a fessin, and a bunch who is talking. And cause by the double B, it's a B-I, by sued. And sued is the Greek and Latin word they'll say means false. And it, and it's where your word suitable, a suitable replacement. And that's what you're getting sued for. I lost my car and I'm suing you for money, and the cause by sued, homie, my people. And so this word that looks like sue, S-U-A, actually the S-T-E, but that's the one they'll put on in the Greek against this. They'll put pseudo, which they say means false or lies, anything like that. But it just means, a suitable replacement, a pseudonym. I'm writing under a different name. This is what you can call me. Replace my name with a pseudonym. And then down here at 10, it started with a yawn of job. It looks like a yawn of yawn, but the N followed by the E reads as a B, and it's a yawn of job. And so I wanted to see how they translated this in the Greek and the Latin. But I pulled this line 10 off from the Hebrew and from the Greek and from the Latin to compare it. And I'm going to read the Latin to you because you're going to get it real well. It's going to make much sense to you. But if you look at the interpretation of these words in the Latin, you're going to come up with the same nonsensical meaning here. But I'm fixing to show you the facts and the non-as facts. They're getting this because here from this QUOD. And I'm reading this more as who could decipher in it. Decipher in it the populum from who descent is. It was talking about the black and the white in 2 lines before this. And who could decipher in it the people from whom, EUM, home, from whom descent is. From whom descent is, the facts and the non is facts. And so if you look at this word pax up, the pax are the facts. The X, is the CH in the Greek and sometimes in the Latin too, but here they're letting you know that it's pronounced ax, KS, CKS, the facts. And they'll tell you this is peace, and they totally created the Latin language in order to hide these writings. And anybody went and studied Latin, it's super difficult, and this is the total reason. They're trying to hide the writings of the Bible. Latin language was totally created in order to try to change the writings. They say it's a doublet of peace, but it's more of a piece as a PIECE, a portion of an object created by breaking the whole. And you see a bunch of Christianity interpretations. It was the picture of the Virgin Mary or Christ that got kissed by the priest. In British dated slang of friendship or a truce, the kiss of peace. But if you look on down, you'll find a better meaning to this. And it comes from the pact, to join, to attach, and to make a pact, to create a formal, informal agreement, a covenant between two parties. A piece, to piece it together, to join, to attach the facts. This is a piece of the truth, you got to put it all together. You can see all the different ways that they can spell this, with an X, or with a CIS, a CES, a CIBUS. But the facts is, it's a Proto-Indo-European word, old language, to join, to attach, an agreement or settlement. But factum, that comes from the base word where factory comes from, to create, to factum, to create them, to join together. But from much experience of reading the Bible, I believe it means more as packs, a group of wild animals, a pack, that pack of people. And the facts when on is packs. But it's saying, and who could decipher in it? Decipher in it. They'll tell you that the English language come from the Latin, which come from the Greek. But so you would think if any of these words that they say mean because, none of them look anything like because. And it's because that's not what this says. It means who could decipher in it. And any of these QU words, sometimes you could just replace the QU with a W, and it would be how, H-O-W, how would decipher in it. And in the Greek, this word they say is misled. No, you got to decipher it. The plan is on. And of, the N followed by the E reads a V. And of the plan is on. And who could decipher in it the populum from whom descent is? Where the hell do white people come from? We look on the wall in Egypt, we don't see a wall full of white people. We see most everybody's black or Asian. And the facts, and the ET read as evolve, the same as is here. This just reads as evolve. You don't read a key, you read it as a W, same as this single letter here, this VOV, is where they get this and from. And so you might read this as the facts when honest, WNONEST. The peace when honest facts, the honest facts, the truth. And ET, and if C, And they're trying to get the word edifice out of here as a building structure, not necessarily habitable, but it's actually, the AE is the ES. And if C is deficient of it, something is deficient, it's lacking, and if C is deficient of it, parietum. And this is where the word wall's coming from, which they'll say is a wall of a house or a room in all these ways. And you see it comes from all the old language, old High German, Russian, Norse. It's a Proto-European. This is one where they're letting you know that this Latin word actually come from Old Norse. And they had to, everybody knew what it meant. And if C is deficient at the peri it them, the wall it them is deficient. My picture's not on the wall there. And if C is deficient at the peri it them, illi autem alineavant. And this illi, this is the same illi that's in the word fam, illi. And this autumn, it actually, reads backwards and forwards, starting with the A, and it's from it, and the VA reads as a TE, and a TEUT, shaped, toot, TEW to shape, and TEWT, shaped them, and from it shaped them, and the illi, from it shaped them, the lineavant. And so illi, the last half of family. And in Latin, they say it's that way or on that side of the family, belonging to that party. Fam, QAM, to come, illy, to come, belonging to that party, where your heritage comes from, your family. And this illy is over here. The illy cousin, your cousin on that side. And on that side of them, a lineav on it. The lineav on it. And they had to stretch this word to get this meaning on it. Third person of lineo, which is an alternate form of lino. And that's where they're saying is to smear or to daub. And they're trying to turn that into this plaster here. But it's a line of on it, L-I-N-I-E. And you see that more in this word lineage and where it comes from. Equivalent to line and age. Your descent, progeny, offspring, parentage. And you see it was in all the old languages, and it's with an I, a L-I-N-I-E. Nothing has to do with smear, it has to do with the line and your lineage and where the hell you come from. All of them was with the L-I-N-I-E. Even in Serbo-Croatian, they say in the Latin script, that's with an L-I-N-I-J, lineage. And if C is deficient at, the B is the N, deficient at, and is deficient at apparitum. And I missed that, that word for wall, appari, that's where your word apparent comes from. A wall is to support the roof. Appari, to support it them. Apparent, to support, to prop up. My parents, my support at them is not on the wall. And if C is deficient of it, the parry at them. The illi autumn, meaning, where you come from it tutum, from it shapedum, the lineav on it. Whom lutu abscu apales. And pales, that's us whiteys, we pales. And abscu, to obscure, to hide. And luto could be the act or manner of carrying on top of the head. And so they have more than one meanings, but if you was wanting to talk about luto in artwork, you would have somebody carry something on top of their head, and that means luto. And it doesn't mean somebody's carrying something on top of their head, it means luto, which is mourning, feeling or expressing sorrow or regret, especially over someone's death. And we express it now by wearing black clothes to a funeral. Whom luto absque apelles, whom black hides white. And who could decipher in it the populum from whom descent is? Fax is nunnis pax, and if sea is the fish of it, the parietum from the wall, the illy of them, the side of them, a lineae aunt, whom luto absque apelles. And so the story is, Jerome wrote this Latin to make the Hebrews happy, to match up more to the old Hebrew, because it was changed here in the Greek. And this is and of, the and followed by the E reads as a V. And of a plan is on, ton. Ton is to fashion, to put it on, to ton your armor, to ton your party dress. The plan is on dress. Allowing them of, that's the kind of people who were ruled, the ones that were allowed of. Allowing them of, a legend is. The legend is what they are saying. Allowing them of, a legend is they ren. And so that's your offspring, your pack. That's where your word children comes from. The yield is, and she gave birth, and yield ren, children's where that comes from. And the legend is they ren, they are sons of vouch, of VOUCH. And then the N followed by the E, is a bet, to be, a barren. And so the legend is, and on the plan is on to dress, to dress it up. Allowing them of legend is they ren. Let them think that they are the ren, the heirs of vouching barren, and who out as the codum they teach on. Utus is the evil eye, the Greek word for the evil eye in Egypt. And it's the eye that you came out of, the evil eye, utus, the mother of birth. And utus, the OI reads the E, the code, the ecodum they teach on. And utus ecodum they teach on. And vaut, V-A-U-T-E, is a space. A vaut, all they cousin, and oughtn't, should not affess they day, and should not tell the day. And so it looks like there was a cover up here in the Greek. And of a plan is on to fashion, allow 'em of legend is, to let them have the legend they ren. They are heirs of vouch barren, and utus ecodum they teach on. T-E-C-H-O-N. They teach on a wall. That's what all the writings on the wall are for, to teach. They teach on a vout, the space, all they cousin shouldn't, oughtn't, a fest they day, or a festitage. The fest to talk, and itage was picked up along the way. And the Hebrew is the yawn of a job, if at. The vav is followed by the A. It's reading as a T or a D. And so a yawn, we use this word down south, yonder. And yon is the place I'm pointing my finger. It means to see, and der is there, to see there. And it always goes with a finger pointing somewhere. You might not be able to see it, but if you go yonder, that's where you'll find it. Yawn. Middle English, yawn, from Old English, yawn, Germanic, dated dialect, distant but within sight, that thing just over there, a yawn, and it always comes with a finger pointing in that direction, yawn, the place I'm pointing my finger, over yonder. And like I say, I was born in Hartford, Connecticut. I didn't get here till I was like 5 years old. And I started hearing these words, and I didn't know what they meant. But they want you to think that, everybody down south here are a bunch of uneducated hillbillies. But actually, you got that backwards. These were the educated people. What they were teaching up north was an indoctrination. They were trying to get people to go along with this fabricated Latin language. And over there of the job it's at a time, backwards and forwards, TIM, a time, and then the homie, no more slum. And so slum is a noun and a verb, where you would say, go slumming, we're going to go slumming. It means to go down to the slum and act like they do in the slum, the go slumming. The things that go on in the back room of unknown origin, that always lets me know that it comes from Hebrew when they say that. And as a noun, it's that neighborhood, a dilapidated neighborhood, where people live in poverty. But it's also a verb. You don't have to have the ing on it to make it a verb. And that's when we visit that neighborhood and act of the slum. And a time, a homie, LANO, no more. No more slum as a verb of thine. The VA reads a DE or a THE, thine, dine, your slum. And no more slum your slum. If you're German, you might pronounce that dine, and it means thine. The D and the TH is the same thing. Middle High German, dine, Old German, dine, Old Saxon, thine. And in English, the only one that gets it right, thine, meaning your. And no more slum, thine slum. No more slumming in your slum. Yawn over there of the job it at a time, my people, homies, no more slum your slum. And then wed, the V followed by the A becomes a T or a D, a WD. And the wed of Vin, the B is the V, and the N is the also B followed by the E, reading as an N. And wed of in each, ECH, each it's when, M, from thy, from your mate, what fell. What fell is your children with untempered. But you see plenty that they interpret this as fall over here in the Greek. And they'll say the same thing in this Latin, which neither one of these words are fall. This is change. But everybody knew that the word was fall, PL, because all the way through the Bible they'll say that's fall. The Nephilim is the fallen. You see it in the next word, and why fall, that it will fall. And when fell, and it will fall. So if you build something with an untempered mortar, it will topple. Shall fall, a topple in. And yawn of job, it of. A time, a homie, no more slum. Thine slum, wed of in Egypt's. When from they mate, what fall. And so what falls from your mate, is your children. That's these wren going on over here. the wren, the illy of them linavant, whom the luto absque, the fall is. And they interpret both these words as fall here, and they're not. Everybody knew fall was here from the Hebrew, and here it's from in whom the luto, the black, absque, the hides, the pales. That's still the law today. Even if you've never seen a black person in your life, if your father's father's father was black, it means you're black. Luto obsque pales. Ancient law of race. And so in the Greek, they said, the plan is on to fashion the lawanum of legions. The lawanum of is a people that are under rule, the ones that are allowing them of, and their allegiance and who they're going to follow. So they had to change the writings on the wall, and that's what all the plasters. So they plastered over the old and wrote anew to keep allegiance of the people that were there. If you look closer to all this ancient Egyptian art, and they try to tell you this is all cut in stone, but no, the older work was cut in stone, and this is all plaster. This is all set in plaster. You could tell because sometimes the plaster breaks off, and you see that there was a smoother wall behind it. And so it says here, that it was all changed to get the people's allegiance. In the time of the Romans, there was no such thing as Greek. You won't find it in the Hebrew Bible or the Greek Bible. You won't find the word Greek. They were Hellenes or Hellions. A Hellion is a kid. You sit around with your buddies and you talk about some evil shit. And a Hellion is one of their kids. He tells you a story that ain't nothing. This is what my kid actually did, and it's worse than anything that you could have ever dreamed up. Is a Hellion, the Hellenes, the Greeks. And of a plan is on fashion, lawanum of legions. They ren vouch baron. Vout as who you're devoted to. Vout as echodum they teach on. Vought the space all they cousin oughtn't of fessitage, oughtn't tell what they picked up along the way. So what I'm getting from this is Ezekiel was a philosopher, and he wondered where the hell he come from too. And so he was reading the wall and speculating. The white did and will. And I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.